Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Just going to wait until everything fills up a little bit more. But welcome to the final. It's the final actual session of the in session series this year. So really excited about it and to bring it to a close. Think it's been really great to kind of walk through one, how we've used the virtual studios platform, but also getting to know all of you and your unique needs across the platform as part of the community. Definitely have loved every bit of the emails and the feedback that have received from these sessions. So definitely understand that it's providing value and really excited to continue providing the value tonight. So without further ado, we're going to jump in. This is the absolute, this is the last session for the series presented by Visionary Rising and Wethos. And session really kind of has explored the toolkit that every studio owner needs, whether you are a solopreneur or leading a team of many. I've been on both sides of it. I started as an individual, as a solopreneur, and over the last year have expanded my team exponentially. And our approach is to really utilize the Wethos platform as the co-anchor in the series, exploring the keys to success for every agency, which is revenue, proposals and process, and then collaboration capabilities. And so I am Leticia Johnson. I am the CEO and founder of Visionary Rising, an agency that really bridges the gap between creators and the audiences that they covet. We are a production studio crafting authentic campaigns for brands who want to reach diverse audiences. We've been doing it I've started it in 2016, and over the last 2.5 years have really kind of expanded, with the last coming up on 2 years now, being really great. And then my co-host here, without further ado, I'll let her introduce herself.
Oh my God, I did not mean to match my picture, but here we are. I'm Rachel. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Wethos. I actually used to work in advertising. So I used to be an art director. I worked at a couple of big agencies in New York on big brands like CoverGirl and Hershey's. And my co-founder, Claire, and I left the agency world a few years ago to start our own studio. And that business grew really fast. We did about 1.4 million in revenue in about 18 months. And we were really predominantly working with a lot of political and nonprofit clients. But that is also when we found out how hard it is to scale a service-based business. And there are a lot of really unique challenges, particularly if you are teaming up with other people. So we ultimately turned that agency. We started to build out our own software, and we used that to scale our own studio, which is what you all may now be using as Wethos Virtual Studios, which is also a thing I made up. So we're super excited to have everybody. Really, exciting to see people join the session, especially going into a new year. And Leticia's just nailed every single part of this process and scale. So I'm really, excited to also hear her insights about how she did it, because we're all doing a little bit differently. And it's always really interesting to open up the conversation. Feel free to throw questions or comments in the chat whenever you want. We'll stop at the end, do a little Q&A, a little product demo, but don't, be shy. Feel free to chime in, and I'll let you take it away, Leticia.
Shy. And really the overall platform, what I really loved about it is the three key elements: pricing proposals, blazingly fast, finding new collaborators, and then managing your budget and timeline against projects as well. And the vision has always been, and really with this program and why we came together, was for the vision of putting more money and knowledge into the hands of creators. We wanted to empower you to utilize the resources and the tools that are available within this series, as well as being a part of the community to scale your studio. And so what we've covered so far is a lot. And when I really sat down and think about it, this is our 6th session. We've covered value-based selling and payment terms, how to build your services library for profit and scale, setting up your business for maximum effectiveness, creating proposal templates, and using the virtual studio library. We've jumped into common agency terms so that you're speaking the same language as your clients and potential clients. Also covered what not to do with when pitching. I've shared a lot of kind of the mistakes that I made very early on in the agency, not knowing how to pay myself or when to pay myself, and then also jumped into how to create winning SOWs so that you're able to win every time up to bat, or at least more often than not. And so at the start of the pandemic, right, I was really searching for a way to expand my agency, push it to the next level, but we kept running into kind of a lot of the problems, which is high cost of doing business and low profit margin. Being a service-based business, these are kind of that balance that you're never going to escape. No matter how much you're in and how long you do it, you're always going to be. It's a balancing act, right? Is how do you increase your cost of doing business or decrease your cost of doing business and increase your profit margin? And so at the start of the pandemic, we're really looking at clients who were halting their contracts to wait out the pandemic. We had really a lot of certainty around runway and capital, and then the inability to meet demands for projects due to a lower skilled workforce or us having to kind of stop and go a lot of times. And then we were also managing teams across multiple projects, platforms, and payment systems. It was a nightmare. I was holding it together with tape and glue, and the glue started falling apart. And then Wethos, right? I was invited to take part as a part of the founding cohort in 2020, 100 Studios, to test a platform that would change our lives and change the way that we do business. I'd heard it from at least 7 other platforms before, so I was very, very skeptical, but I was open to the experience and the opportunity. And that was in June 2020. And our agency has since scaled from 6-figure agency to a 7-figure studio by utilizing a combination of the things that I've covered in this series. Our average time has decreased from 2 weeks to 3 days by using the scoping templates. This is an example that I've touted a lot in this course, is because it's someone sent us something on the 31st of August. It was a huge RFP. If you've ever received an RFP, there are about 8 pages of things that the client wants and that you have to meet and that you have to pitch, and it's all of their research and all of these things. And they're like, hey, we'll extend it if you need us to. And my response to them was, we don't need the extension, we'll meet your deadline. And we did. Within from almost 72 hours to the time that they sent the request for us, that we sent our response to it, and we won that business. And our win rate as a whole has increased, right? At the start of this course, it was 88% when scoped via Wethos. We've won a lot more projects this quarter. Going into next quarter, this week I sent out about 250,000 in SOWs for the first quarter of 2022. And so it's really kind of put us in a position to not only be effective as a team, but also to just really, really be able to scale our business and do it so effectively that it becomes a science. Services, utilizing the services library, really thinking about how we approach projects, how we expand the services and offerings that we provide to our clients. And then we've utilized the team breakdown that's provided within the scopes to create project pods, right? So this was a combination of us looking at the Wethos platform and how it was growing, and then looking at our business model and thinking about how we could mold our model to match the services and match the platform that was being provided. And then we kind of took all of that as a team and used it to create SOPs for our business. I have a saying, process makes perfect, because if you can understand the process and you can perfect that, then you can build on it and you can teach other people how to build on it as well. If you started out as a solopreneur, you've probably done every single position in your business. I have done every single position in my business, and I was exhausted. And so I really wanted to help people be able to scale themselves, right? I want to be able to clone myself really at a point now where I don't have to be involved in every decision. My team has confidence in the things that they're doing, and I have confidence and trust in what they're doing, so that I can then go and focus on scaling the business and other elements of the business. But it's not just about the money. The money is great, but it's not just about that. It's really about the peace of mind, right? Knowing that our proposals are top of the line, our rates are competitive, and our collaborators are untouchable. All right, utilizing the platform has really provided our team that guarantee, and that's why I wanted to really share the knowledge with all of you, so that you could understand how to really utilize this going forward. And so all of that brings us to tonight's session, where we're really kind of going to dive deep into your network and your equaling your net worth, and what it means to kind of be a collaborative, to be collaborative in within the agency environment and agency space. So the third kind of key for the virtual studios platform is that you're able to collaborate with others. And so it's really, really kind of goes into our overall ethos as an agency, is that collaboration is better than competition. Wherever possible, I'd rather collaborate with people, because I come from a creator background. I come from a songwriting background. And when you're in the studio writing songs, no one cares who gave a line or a lyric to the song. Everyone who's in that room contributes to the production of the song, gets a credit on the song. And at the end of the day, you're not going to come out of the studio saying, "Hey, remember that one line that I put and I changed it around that?" No, it's we all made a great song. And so I really took that understanding into my agency and the development of the agency, and thinking through how we're going to collaborate with not only the best creatives, the brightest, but also provide solutions to our clients. And one of the hardest things that we've kind of dealt with over the years is being able to find reliable contract work, or people who were working within the contract space who were able to meet deadlines quickly, and were also going to be as consistent as our team was in delivering the content to the client. And so, what we do when we go into kind of really the overall collaboration tool, and you think about the phases of taking a prospect through their various stages. Our team starts with our discovery process, understanding what the client needs. We go in there and then we start scoping, and we'll provide them with kind of a general scope outline to say, "Hey, based on everything that you told us, we want to present you this scope of work, and we think that this scope of work is exactly what you need." We then move the client into what is called the negotiation stage. They get 2 to 3 rounds within that space to say, "Yes, we need this. No, we don't need this." But in our system, once a client enters the negotiation stage, that's when our team starts to really look at resourcing. So during resourcing, we are really looking at how do we fill out the team with the elements that are not already available in house. I've shared earlier in the season in the series that I work with a core team of creators and a core team within the agency space. We're actually a core team of 7. And then wherever is necessary, then we scale up and skill up based on what's needed. And so if we have account services, a project manager, and a strategist that will be working on the project, but it also happens to be a design project and a brand manager, I only want the individuals within the pod playing or having one role. So that means that we have to find a designer and a brand manager. And how do we find that designer and the brand manager when there's kind of that back and forth? Send me your portfolio. Are you available? What have you done in the past? What are you looking for? Right? Utilizing the collaboration tool really kind of cuts out all of that. And so our team is able to quickly input elements that we're looking for into the search tool, and then begin outreach. based on the needs of the client. What I have up here is really a screenshot of that search bar and a few elements that you can look into. You can search by roles, the types of services that we're looking for, and then their availability. If we have a project that is going to start within the next 2 weeks, then we're looking for people who are available to work then. If we have a project runway that is a little bit longer, then we'll look expand it to available soon. And then once we've pulled together our list of candidates, then we add them to our favorite section and begin outreach to identify when they are able to start and how they're able to start. And some of the key elements that I really, really love about utilizing the collaboration tool is that when my team kind of goes in there and looks for individuals and look for people, they can share the profile with me, and then right within that link is going to be their portfolios and their rates that can be viewed directly from the profile. So having an understanding of how much we're willing to spend for that on the project, and makes it easy to know who's the right fit. I utilize mine as a screenshot because I didn't want to be putting anyone else's business out there without their permission. But this comes up on the side screen, and Rachel will walk through the demo tonight. And it also lets you know, like, if we should keep them in mind for future projects. So sometimes we'll come across someone who's a really, really great talent, but they're not quite right for the particular project that we're looking for. We don't discard them. We kind of add them to the favorites, notate what they're great for and what they do, so that when I'm going back through it later, I can go to now those candidates that we favorited and reached out. I operate under the guise of building relationships before you need them, right? I truly believe in cultivating relationships. So if there's someone that we come across that I haven't met personally or haven't worked with directly, I'm doing that outreach before we even have a project available or a project for them, to just introduce myself, let them know who I am, who the agency is, and what we're looking to do over the next couple of months. And just also having a conversation to see what their work style is and what they would be interested in building, and starting to build the relationship that way. And kind of a lot of the things that we've really dealt with is understanding practices, outlining your practices and processes beforehand. That's going to be the key to success when you're building a collective studio. And so when you're thinking about flex work and you're thinking about the creative industry right now, everyone is flexible, right? That is the way of life. That is the way of business. That is the way that everything is going. Because you're dealing with flex work, and in the model that my team and I use, again, core people who are going to be responsible for the project, and then working with and responsible for other individuals who are not considered core or part of our team, we want to make sure and set them up for success every single time. And every single time, that means that we're going to cover the rules of engagement. How do you interact with clients? What is your expectation for the level of interaction with clients? Our preference is that our account managers and our account services team is really going to be the ones that are primarily interacting with clients, so that the other people on the account can just do what they do best. But then understanding that, right? What do I need to do if the client reaches out to me directly, and and they're asking me for something that I haven't delivered yet, or I know that it's coming? We have clear rules of engagement that are outlined across that we hand over to our people that are coming on board. What our onboarding process looks like. We have a 3-week onboarding process, but everyone on the team knows what that onboarding process consists of, so that they have an understanding of when they will come into the process, and what the client has gone through before they walk into us, their expectations for pay. When are you going to get paid? How often are you going to get paid? And then the deliverable outlines, the project roadmap, and then meeting availability. Again, our team, account services, is constantly meeting with the clients. the other project roles do not necessarily have to meet with the client, but also laying that out of what that availability needs to be is going to be really, really effective and key when jumping into working with a collective and collaboration across the board. And then we found that like outlining expectations early and often help to keep things clear for the consultants we work with and the core team who are ultimately responsible for that project outcome. And so I'll stop there to see if there are any questions or anything. So it doesn't look like we have any questions just yet. So I think if we don't have any questions, Rachel, we can jump into the demo.
Yeah, yeah. I did have one quick question for you, which I was interested to just kind of understand like how you kind of communicate your model or the team to your clients. And what that sort of looks like from like a positioning standpoint. Like, do you lead with the fact that like you're curating a team for them at all? Is it something that you sort of like talk to them about a little bit after the fact, or how do you sort of think about like the positioning of that in sales?
So one of our core values is transparency, and so I do share that. I do share the model. We work with a pod. We work within a pod structure. You'll have core team that is assigned to you. We work with trusted collaborators who will bring this together. But ultimately, the agency bears responsibility for the delivery of the project. So if you're not happy, right, I'm not going to, and that's also protecting the collaborators that we work with as well, because they know that the agency is taking that on and we're taking that responsibility. And I found that telling the client up front that this is the process that it's going to be really kind of helps to head off any type of issues, so that if there are issues, if they do have something that comes up throughout the project life cycle, it's not a them versus us type of thing, or the agency versus the collaborator. It really is a team effort of, hey, the agency contracted this project, the agency is responsible for the outcome of the project. And so regardless of what happens, we'll never say like, oh well, this collaborator didn't deliver their part. The agency is ultimately responsible for it.
Yeah, you keep it all under like an umbrella sort of brand, and yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's interesting, like we experimented with a few different methodologies with sales. Like we had a sales process at one point that like led actually with the fact that we were going to curate a team for them. And so we would basically like take the discovery call. We would always send the scope as fast as possible, essentially, because that's the fastest way to get a gut check on like how serious they are. And then if they were like, yeah, this is all looking good, then we would kind of like introduce their team like chopped Food Network style, you know what I mean? Like, and we've got so and so, and they are the perfect creative director for you because they have this background with these clients or they've worked on these projects, and like kind of did like a hype introduction of the team. And then at one point we also tested like leveraging that to create urgency. So, hey, we can only hold these people for so long. They're in demand, high in demand, and so like we need an answer on whether or not we're going to move forward and sign off in the next like whatever 72 hours or something of that nature. Which was interesting in helping us kind of create some urgency. I think like what's interesting about that model is at that point you're more like you're selling the team that's going to work on the work rather than like the strategy and the work itself, which is, I find it from an agency side, one of the hardest things about like handing off a client relationship, because they built trust with you because you're like sort of doing the work up front, like here's what strategy you're thinking about. And then if you're trying to put together a team that's going to then like take it forward, that sort of transference of trust with the client can be really challenging. So we found that sometimes it was easier actually to bring them up into the sales process, which was just always, we were always like testing different, orders of things and like packages and like what was gonna, streamline it or make it easy for them to say yes, essentially.
Yeah,
I think
one of the things that we've tested, so our core team always consists of an account services person that is in-house, right? They work for the agency. And that creates the trust, because that person is always going to be on the account. They're always responsible for the client interaction. And so we're not handing the client relationship over. We're really kind of guiding it along the way, and kind of to prevent a lot of that back and forth. Having that core team, like your project manager, your account manager, be ones who are brought up in your culture, who understand it, so that if you do have to flex out another collaborator on the project, that consistency is going to be there
Totally.
and established with the client.
Totally. Yeah. We found like the best ones, the best people to bring like in-house were definitely like on the production project management side and like account management. Like that was, better to have in-house and then like curating the teams around them. It's just an interesting, different model. And I feel like every team is a little bit different. We have a question actually in the QA though. This is a great question because this is one of the toughest things about this. And we're hoping to tackle some of this for y'all on the platform at some point. But how do taxes work for your contracted players? So is it freelance on the team member side? How do you structure those subcontracts and entities too? Maybe like 99 LLC.
Woo!
I know.
Whoa, deep questions. Okay. So I've learned by doing, right? And so I'll share something that early in, right, I was a solopreneur, first 2 years of the business, I really messed up on my taxes.
Same.
And how I like, and once you make once you mess up once, you will never ever do that again.
Brutal.
It was brutal. It was rough. But how we structure it now, is 1099 for the contractors, and then W-2 for our core team members, that are set at a certain number of hours per month. But we found like the ones that are going to be consistent across multiple projects, it's easier to pay them W-2 versus the ones who flex in and out. It's easier to pay them on 1099s.
Yeah. And then the tax, from a tax purpose, I assume that you would give your contractors their W-9, it would probably come from you all. Yeah. 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 So it's like, it's essentially subcontracting from like an entity or in a tax perspective. Like, for us, we were an LLC, and then we're a C Corp now, but we were an LLC, and under our umbrella, our entity, we would contract directly with the client, and that would have like its own set of terms and payment terms and stipulations and all that, jazz. And then we would basically manage the back end of it. So then we would do the subcontracts out to our teams and our teammates, really. And in those subcontracts, we also would specify like payment cycles or terms. We tried, and we're hoping to, again, do something with this on the platform to make it a bit more intelligent for you, like cash flow tracking of like when your client's going to pay that invoice and then when your teammate is going to get paid out, like giving recommendations on those pay cycles to match up. But like they would be subcontractors. And then at the end of the year to do taxes, we would distribute their W-9s. They would come from us and send it to the client. Like we would get our tax paperwork from the client, if that makes sense. So it can be a little bit complicated, but we're hoping to work with a few partners to kind of streamline the process. And I would say, like, when all else fails, get a recommendation for an accountant that you can trust, just a gut check or take a look at things. It's worth it, and money you won't lose later. Like, I feel like there's two things that you really don't want to cheap out on. It's like accounting and legal. Like legal is another thing. Like I learned that the hard way. It's expensive, it hurts, but like when that kind of thing is not done correctly, it really can bite you. So
I think that like the first 2 years of business, because you don't know what you don't know, and then you find out, and it's like that's an investment that's worth it, especially like when starting your business. It may not seem like it now, but it's definitely certainly worth it to have like a trusted accountant, even if it's someone that you just go to once a year, that's like, hey, can you take a look at this? This is how my business has grown, and these are the things that I'm doing, so that they can answer those questions for you as well.
Awesome. I don't see any more questions in the chat, so I'll jump into the demo. And then if we don't have anything else from there, we can always call it a little bit early because it's the holidays, so why not? Okay, so I'm gonna just give everybody a quick tour of like virtual studios and and specifically the network features here. In a couple of the other sessions, we did the scoping tools, the bank account and invoicing stuff. You can see those on YouTube. You can always check that out and rewatch or see it if you missed it later. And then also, I do just want to mention before I jump in that this little chat bot here, Intercom, you can always book a session with us, with Molly, send her a message. You can look for articles here. You can book a demo if you want. The platform is totally free to use. The only thing we charge for is 1% on invoices getting paid for ACH. And we have a nifty little feature where you can just go ahead and put that little markup on your client's invoice. So everything else, the software, the bank account, everything is completely free to use. So come through. And if you have any other questions, my inbox is always open as well. All right. So what you're looking at here, and let me just take a step back for a second. So like, what is a virtual studio? We see a virtual studio basically as an operating system for you all, or an infrastructure that makes it a bit easier for you to sort of scale your businesses up and down as different projects and clients kind of come across your desk. We have a joke that like most agencies today are 3 freelancers under a trench coat. But really what we see is like this really interesting and dynamic behavior where a lot of people are running what I would call almost like an elastic business, which is actually much more resilient, especially given like the new world that we're in, where you don't have a high amount of like fixed monthly costs. You are pulling people in on project by project, client by client. And that makes the business model a little bit more sustainable than a traditional like agency model, where you would have a lot of salaried employees, and then if you lose one client, you go through layoffs, and it's a whole scary kind of big thing, high risk. So when we think about studios, there's a couple of core parts. Each studio has a library of services, which Leticia touched on here. You can search and save from our library of peer source services. This database here is about 1,000 services deep across like at least 100 plus roles. It started actually with data from our own studio. And over the last year and a half, we have gathered tens of thousands of data points. And we push new updates to this library every 2 weeks, both the price recommendation itself and then new services as people are using more scopes. There are also full templates here that you can utilize that I think Leticia also mentioned. So you can edit any of these and configure them to your liking and save them to your own library as well. Studios also have contractors, which is what we're going to talk about a little bit today. So again, Leticia mentioned this, but you have a space basically to invite your sort of go-to collaborators if you have them. And then each studio also has a profile. So we kind of think of this as like studios are kind of powered by like shared networks, right? And so a lot of people kind of work in different ways based on like even the different life stages that they're in. Like you may be leading a ton of teams, and then maybe you have a new baby or a kid, and you want to take a step back from all that like leadership and pressure, and you would rather just contribute to other teams. We want to kind of facilitate that sort of capability and that behavior. And so we want to kind of help you bring essentially like more jobs to your communities, and then flexibly, leverage people and expand your networks, because we also see that, the bigger and the better your network is from a freelance perspective, from a client side perspective, the more opportunities are going to come inbound to you. The more people are going to think of you the next time something, comes across their desk. So it's sort of healthy for the business, as this session is titled, which it's truly perfectly titled, net worth and network. Like absolutely, we have data that shows that is true. So what the hell is this? I'll explain it now. So this is a big database of essentially folks that use the Wethos platform. On Wethos, you are both a studio, as you can see here, and you are an individual. So you have a profile here. I'm on a tiny little laptop screen, so bear with me. So we made profiles available last February, and you essentially have the option to make yourself discoverable by other studios by filling out your profile and making yourself available. So, Leticia mentioned there's a lot of filters here that you can search down on. The services in here match the services in our database. So if you have specific things in your scope, you can literally search on like those specific services. We're hoping that we can really start to build more robust like network effects into this feature, seeing who's connected to who or who's worked with who in the past, and help you guys just like better, faster make recommendations to each other and, expand your access to those opportunities. So you can filter down, and then these do pull out, and you can see sort of the whole profile, and you can, check out some of the work that they've done, you can contact them, and then you can sort of see the full sort of robust profile here. Also, I can always save this again to my contractors, as Leticia mentioned, if I want to contact him later, or hey, this looks cool, maybe I'll follow up with him when I have another project when I think of him. So that's the network side. There at this point, I believe, is a couple hundred people in here. And in order to make yourself discoverable in the network, you just have to fill out your profile. So if you see that little upper right-hand corner icon there, we'll go to my profile. And I left mine a little bit blank here just so you guys can see what this looks like. So this is your profile. There's a couple of components to it. You obviously can fill out kind of your high level. So this is sort of like a bio. It's a quick write-up of sort of like how you would describe yourself, like a tweet-sized bio, I would say. You can tag yourself in different tools, languages, industries, so people can find you better. And then you have the ability to get discovered if you want. And so we made this optional because not everybody wants to be contacted with stuff. So, we know that. And we didn't want to just assume that everybody suddenly wanted, their profile or their face plastered all over our network. We really feel strongly about transparency and giving you guys data and power and information to really own your business and make the best decisions for yourself. So, we try not to do stuff like that. So you have to fill out a few things in order to get discovered because, we want the network to stay high quality. We want people who are engaged. So profile card, you can add work samples here, and then you can add your tags. And then you can essentially toggle to say like, okay, anybody on Wethos can discover me and you'll appear in this people tab here. Or you can just say no on and turn off the feature. And that's just going to turn your profile off, keep it private to you. And then whenever you want, you can turn it back on. Leticia mentioned this, and this is like one of my favorite little features that, I don't know, kind of came in a little bit last minute, but we were trying to find a way to get people to, be more transparent about their rates so they could just find opportunities to find each other faster. And an hourly rate doesn't quite sum it up because, as we know, depends on the client, the situation, and these things can evolve and change. So we tried to kind of make this more match back to sort of how the scoping tool works so that you could sort of specify more I'm available. If you want to be open to whatever you want, that's absolutely up to you. If you want to, specify what, I only actually want people to contact me for stuff that's over 10K. Maybe you're really at bandwidth, or maybe you just have a floor, and that's absolutely fine and normal. And if you do, you should put that out there just to help other people too. So you can specify that if you want, and then you can specify any preferences that you have. If you prefer stuff related to your industries or causes or languages, you can really start to specify that. And that's just going to appear here as a little rollover over your availability. So that makes people like Leticia who are hiring find you very quickly and easily. And it also helps you narrow down the amount of noise or not real opportunities that sort of come across your desk. You can add work samples here. So you can add website links or images, resumes, PDFs. I have my portfolio actually live on my own little website here. This is from some Hershey stuff I did in 2013. I'm so old now. So you can add, whatever links that you want there. And then that is pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward. You can see the sort of what your card looks like here as well. So that's kind of the people side of things. And, again, we're hoping to get a bit more robust when you come into a project itself. This is where you can actually put a team together. So I have one sort of here already. So projects on the platform are kind of structured in 3 core parts. You have a scope, as we've been talking about. You have a budget that you manage with a team associated with it, and then you have a payment side. With the managed side, this is where you can invite your teammates in. So I already have a few teammates that are on my team now. If I do invite teammates to role, it's going to pull out my go-to contractors. I can invite them in, and then any services that are assigned to that role will get assigned to that person. And this makes it really easy to then track your budget. So I can mark this complete when it's done, and then I know how much I owe whoever this graphic designer is going to be for what work, and then how much to bill a client for based on everything that's been done to date. So this is kind of like project management and budget management have a little baby together. We're going to make a bunch of optimizations to this side of things, but the most important thing really is just organizing your team and then being able to delegate the work really quickly and manage the cash flow. I'll pause there because I see a little question. And is there an integration with scheduling apps? So not yet, but I will say in the next 6 months, we are going to be doing a big push around integrations and third-party tools. So things like Calendly, things like QuickBooks, we obviously get a lot of requests for. The ability to like accept other types of payments, payment processors, things like that, like right into your Wethos account. So if you do have integrations or requests for those things, we would love to hear it. You can always go on, and when you go into sign into your account, there's a little product roadmap on the left-hand side. You can upvote things, you can submit requests for features. We would love to hear from you, because we're gonna, sort of open things up and really start to build some third-party apps and integrations on top of this bad boy. So thank you for your patience with us. We're getting there. All right.
Awesome. I love this this tool, this piece. It's a lifesaver.
Yeah,
It's good.
this is like a little brainchild of ours, and we're getting a lot of feedback on it, which is good. Because we want to play nice with some of the more project management tools that we know you guys already use, but like it's just where the money is being tracked. So trying to kind of find a balance there.
I love this. It's like this snapshot here, you can just take that snapshot and like timeline and send it to the client. This is where your project is at. Here you go.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're looking into stuff too, like shareable, like client portal links that are shareable, where you could put everything like a Loom video and like a scope and like a timeline, and just like beautifully under your brand. My product team's gonna kill me. I always do this. I'm like, all the ideas we're working on. PayPal will be available soon, within the next 6 months. That's one of the things that we're working on. There are a few workarounds for this though, I believe, because you can connect your bank account on Wethos to linked accounts. You can also connect to using Plaid. So I think that there is maybe a workaround there. You can, I think there's a few articles in our help center as well, or ping us on intercom, because Molly, who's running our little intercom, would be the person who knows all the little hacks. So you might be able to get around that for now. But I think, we're targeting like Q2 for a big push around making it easier to sort of manage all your cash and all your things on Wethos, and export and, transfer this data into your other things that you use, as well as help you cull down the amount of tools that you're using, hopefully. Awesome. Any other questions? I'm happy to answer while we're on. Otherwise, we will let you all go for the holiday.
Awesome. And yes, definitely go full forward in January. Watch the previous sessions and kind of utilize that to really build out your studio plan. This was really created to help launch you into a full-fledged studio in 2022. So yeah, really, really would be awesome. One last question. How does this all link to your debit card?
Yes, good question. So when you set up a bank account on Wethos, you're going to be, once you're approved for the account, you'll be popped into this bank account. This is going to be a list of your transactions, money coming in and out. The great thing about having a bank account in your platform, the place where you do business, is that you can actually assign transactions to projects and invoices right from your bank account if you want to. And then you can bill your client for out-of-pocket costs, which you should. Bill your clients. The bank accounts also come with account and routing numbers. So this is one way that you can connect to, a PayPal account or some other, payment method. I think we've seen people like connecting to Cash App, other things like that. And then cards are here. So each bank account is going to automatically come with a virtual and a physical debit card. When you create it, you can opt in to have the address where to send your physical card, and it'll just come right in the mail, and you can activate it like a regular Visa debit card. This is connected to your bank account. So you can use this debit card anywhere where you would use a normal Visa debit card. It's purple, because of course. And then from here, like when you use your debit card, those things are going to appear in your transactions list here. And that's where like an example would be, maybe you're doing a photo shoot for your client, and you bought lunch for the crew. So you put it on your Wethos debit card, and then you wanted to, put it on your invoice and bill your client for like an out-of-pocket cost. That is something that agencies do all the time, just FYI. So you should do it too. And then you can see your real balance here when you're, managing your invoices. Everything will appear here. So any invoices that get paid into your Wethos account, they're going to appear here. Any payments you send out to other teammates are going to appear here. Really, any money coming in or out. And then you can also link a bank account directly using Plaid as well. So say I have my Bank of America linked here, you just add your account. there. It'll do a little 2FA verification. You can use Plaid to connect, and then you can transfer money in and out of your Wethos account to your linked bank accounts whenever you want. We are working on our little ACH time right now because I know it's a little slow and we're sorry. We're working on it. But that is kind of the overview. And then if you ever need to pull down statements, or you can export, they're here on this tab, or you can export all your transactions to a CSV if you want to like upload it to QuickBooks, for instance. That works too. And then there's just a little transfer money button right here.
One last question. Are there any rewards associated with the card?
Yeah, so we ran a little cashback campaign last summer. We're going to be looking into doing more stuff with that, this upcoming year. Right now, most of our perks are more like partners discounts. So we have discounts to like help you book, doctor's visits, catch if you haven't set up your healthcare for 2022. I don't want to sound like my mom, but you should sign up for healthcare through Catch right here, and you can redeem that. People are getting on plans for as little as like $10 a month through them. They're awesome. And then we have legal help here, and we also have a few other things around like running your business. With cohort programs and other types of software that'll help you with taxes as well, like Collective. We're really starting to build this out more and more, so we're definitely going to have more perks coming. We're going to be doing more stuff around, other financial perks too, getting your invoices paid quickly or immediately, stuff like that. So again, like anything that you guys are thinking about, we'd love to hear from you because it's going to be a big year for us in 2022, and we've got a lot of awesome stuff on the roadmap. Thanks to all the feedback from everybody, honestly. You guys are like super engaged and we love it. It's truly makes my day, so thank you.
That's awesome. And I think, that will conclude this. There are more messages. You guys are loving this. Okay, so I think that's going to conclude this session of the In Session series. We'll definitely be back in 2022 with some more sessions. So make sure to stay tuned for more information about it.
Yes, and everybody have an amazing holiday. And I want to leave you with one last quick thing for my entrepreneurs out there. If you're experiencing any of the pain that we have talked about tonight, it's a good thing. They're growing pains. So you're growing. And that means you're probably doing something right. So I hope everybody has like an awesome holiday, restful holiday, and you're getting ready for 2022. And I'm super excited to see what everybody does because I know it's going to be a big year, and things are people's businesses are growing quickly all over the place. So congrats, and really thank you so much for joining us and taking the time.
Yes, great. Everyone have a great night. Happy holidays. See you in 22.
See y'all later. Thanks, y'all.